With the apartments from Friends due to come out for sale in June 2021, I thought that now would be a good time to review the Central Perk set as well. So this came out in 2019. It has 1,070 pieces. At the moment you can still get it in stores for around €75, £65 sterling or $90. Now this is a lovely set and it is absolutely packed with detail. It's very proportionally correct to the set, and there's some really nice design features that they've put into it, like being able to remove the seating area, which is quite nice, and you can rearrange the minifigs as you want. There's also nice little small touches like the reserved sign, which most people didn't realise was in the show until its later years and it was pointed out. And Gunther shouldn't be there. That's the sign that my 3-year-old has been playing with the set not so long ago, and I didn't clean it up properly. So we'll just put the pizza back and the tiny little pizza slice, which leads me quite neatly into what is a little bit of a flaw with the set. We do have lots of small and awkward pieces that don't really stick down anywhere. Like, for example, pizza boxes, pizza slices. It's very hard to put down. The laptop there in the corner, they are lovely to have, but some seem a little bit unnecessary, or there isn't a stud to put them on. So if we go through, starting at the right hand side here, we do have the microphone, which doesn't really seem to have a place up on stage. We could remove the piano, but when we do, I want to show you that there are 4 of these small pieces. Now, the stools in the back use the same pieces, and because they're not connected, they can make it quite awkward for doing anything with the seats. So they're only held down, even though there's got 4 of those pieces on it, it's only held down to 1 stud, much like the keyboard over here. You see that there are 2 studs available, but it only uses 1 to actually put the keyboard down. So you can't really put down the microphone even in here. You have to put it back out here because of the raised platform there for the carpet, and a little bit tricky to even put down. Do you know what, I'm not even going to bother. So it's very hard to put those down. Also, the guitar just flops out like that unless you've got somewhere to put it, which is usually in somebody's hand. Now these 3 poles, even though they're actually in the set, in the show, I don't think it adds anything to the set to have it in here. I don't think it adds anything to the Lego set, should I say. Particularly this one, I think it quite gets in the way. So if you wanted to improve it, I would remove at least 1, if not 2 of these. You can still keep this one in for effect, but it opens up this space much more. Now, another thing that I think needs a little bit of a look at are these seats here. So we'll just take Chandler off. So they're held on by these bricks at the bottom. The problem is they're only held onto 1 stud. So when you're trying to fix anyone, it swivels quite easily, and these bricks don't quite fit the stud as well as other normal bricks. Or should I say, maybe it's more that this piece is a little bit the problem, but it just falls off quite easily. It rocks, there's nothing to keep it stable. Perhaps if Lego were to maybe use one of these turntable pieces instead, it would have helped. Or what I would love to see is if it brought in a smaller Lego version of this Duplo chair, which would be a very nice little feature to be able to put in, because they are tied to using 2 bricks at the bottom for this to work. Now it is nice in that the back reclines a little bit, but as I say, it doesn't really stay on that well. You have to be very careful putting in Chandler or Joey or whoever you might put in there, and it's still just a little bit loose. So it's something that I think could have been done slightly better. Now I do really like the way they put in the spotlights here, that they did give it the set feel, even though you never would have seen these on the TV show. I think that was a very nice touch to put one of those on either side. Also, if you just pop those off, the set fits very neatly in its original box without having to take any other pieces off. Just these 2, which is a really nice thing to be able to do. If you've got a lot of Lego and you're an adult and you need to be able to box it away, this is one of the few sets you can actually do that with the original box. So if we go in for the finer detail, the coffee counter area is very, very well done. It's very nicely designed, particularly the machine at the back and everything around it, and the coffee counter to the front. The cash register, very nicely done with this clear piece here, the handle at the side, and also this light grey piece down at the bottom to make it look like the cash register is open. Also the display case here for your cookies, and the actual design of, if I move the set out and isolate this piece. Now I do apologise for the shaky camera, but unfortunately that's what happens when you go in for finer detail. So we've got hinged bricks down at the bottom to be able to give that angle, and then it's, completed with these sloped pieces, which closes it off very nicely and neatly, and finished off with these clear pieces on the side. So very, very nicely done. So you'll know if you got your set from Wish.com if this says reception instead of service. That's about the only thing Wish seem to have done to avoid copyright. So now we'll take this piece off for the moment so that we can see this is a lovely little corner. You don't really notice it from the front, where we've got the flowers, a small window, the lamp, and also the sign for Phoebe, who's going to be playing tonight. Now, the one thing is, I think that sign would look much better if it was over here near the stage. It's very, very hidden where it is, and also it's a little bit less relevant because if this was a real cafe, you wouldn't have the sign tucked away in the corner like that. It's a very, very minor point. But here are the seats, and like I was telling you, they're held on by 4 of those pieces at the bottom. So when you're arranging minifigs and things like that, it is only held on by 1 stud, so it can fall a little bit. Like that table in particular, I find is always falling because the top is a little bit big and it creates a bit of a lever effect, so you end up knocking it off the stud quite easily. But this is me very, very fault picking for a couple of minor things. It is very nice to be able to take out this piece, but as we see, chairs can fall off and Rachel can fall over. And if you put the minifigs on the sides, they tend to push out the edges of the couch and they can fall off. But this is what you're going to have when you're trying to represent such an iconic set. You can't really take too much liberties with dimensions and proportions and how you're going to build things. You have to do the best you can, really. And I think they did a very good job with what the brief was. Now, one thing I did do differently to what it says in the instructions is over in the windows here. It's just such a small detail. I'll remove this and this to show you. So on the instructions, the narrow part of the window frame should be on the inside with the wide part of the window frame on the outside, but I just don't think it works like that. I think this is the outside of a coffee shop, so you would have the narrow part of the frame. So I just swapped those couple of things around. And there you have it. So it's a very, very nice set, and I'm sure a lot of people that have this set will be looking forward to getting the apartments when they come out in June.